This book will perhaps be understood only by people who have themselves once had the thoughts expressed in it, or similar ones. As such, it is no textbook. Its aim will have been achieved if it proves pleasurable to even one person who reads and understands it. The book is concerned with the problems of philosophy and shows, as I believe, the formulation of such problems is based on our misunderstanding of the logic of our language. We could capture the whole sense of the book as follows: what can be said at all can be said clearly, and whatever cannot be said must be left to silence. The book intends to draw a limit to thought, or rather, not to thought, but to the expression of thoughts. For to draw a limit to thought, we would have to be able to think on both sides of that boundary. That is, we would have to be able to think what cannot be thought. The limit can therefore be drawn in language, and whatever lies beyond that boundary will simply be nonsense. To what degree my efforts coincide with those of other philosophers, I do not want to judge. Indeed, what I have written here makes no claims of novelty in detail, and that is why I give no sources, since I am indifferent as to whether what I have thought has already been thought by someone else. I want to mention only that I am indebted to Frege's great works and to the writings of my friend Mr. Bertrand Russell for a large part of the stimulus to my thoughts. If this work has any value, it consists in two things. First, that thoughts are expressed in it, and this value will be greater the better those thoughts are expressed. The more the nail has been hit on the head. Here I am well aware of having fallen far short of what is possible, simply because my powers are not up to the task. May others come and do it better. On the other hand, the truth of the thoughts communicated here seems to me unassailable and definitive. I am therefore of the opinion that I have conclusively solved the problems in their essentials. If I am not wrong about this, the value of this work consists, second, in showing how little the solving of these problems achieves. The world is all that happens to be the case. The world is all that happens to be the case. The world is the totality of facts, not of things. The world is determined through the facts and through there being all the facts. For the totality of facts determines what happens to be the case and also all that is not the case. The facts in a logical space are the world. The world breaks down into facts. Any one of them can happen to be the case or not the case, while all else remains the same. What happens to be the case, a fact, is the existence of states of affairs. What happens to be the case, a fact, is the existence of states of affairs. A state of affairs is a constellation of objects, entities, things. What is essential to a thing is that it can be a component part of a state of affairs. In logic, nothing is chance. If a thing can appear in a state of affairs, then the possibility of that state of affairs must already be inherent in the thing itself. It would, as it were, appear to be chance if a situation later turned out to fit a thing that had existed all by itself. If things can occur in states of affairs, this possibility must lie in them already. Nothing in logic can be merely possible. Logic is concerned with every possibility, and all possibilities are its facts. Just as we cannot think of spatial objects outside of space or temporal objects outside of time, so we cannot think of any object outside of its possible combination with others. If I can think of objects constellated in states of affairs, I cannot think of them outside the possibility of such constellations. A thing is independent inasmuch as it can occur in all possible situations, but this form of independence is a form of link to the state of affairs, a form of dependence. It is possible for words to appear in two different ways, by themselves and in propositions. When I know an object, I also know all its possible occurrences in states of affairs. Every one of these possibilities must be part of the object's nature. A new possibility cannot be found later on. To know an object, I do not have to know its external properties, but I must know all of its internal ones. If all objects are given, then all possible states of affairs are given as well. Everything exists, as it were, in a space of possible states of affairs. I can think of this space as empty, but not of the thing without the space. Everything exists, as it were, in a space of possible states of affairs. I can think of this space as empty, but not of the thing without the space. A spatial object must be located in infinite space. A point in space is an argument place. A speck in the visual field doesn't have to be red, but it must have some kind of color. It has, so to speak, a color space around it. A tone must have some pitch, the object of touch some degree of firmness, and so on. Objects contain the possibility of all situations. The possibility of its occurring in states of affairs is an object's form. Objects are simple. Every statement about complexes can be passed into a statement about their component parts and into the propositions that fully describe those complexes. Objects constitute the substance of the world, therefore they cannot be composite. If the world had no substance, whether a proposition had sense would depend on whether another proposition were true. It would then be impossible to produce any picture of the world, true or false. It is obvious that no matter how different an imagined world may be from the real one, must have something, a form, in common with it. This fixed form is made up of objects. The substance of the world can determine only a form, not any material properties. Material properties are first represented by means of propositions, first formed by the configuration of objects. Roughly speaking, objects have no color. External properties aside, two objects of the same color, external properties aside, two objects of the same logical form can be distinguished from one another only in that they are different. Either a thing has properties that nothing else has, and then we can instantly single it out from the others by description and refer to it, or else there are multiple things that have all of their properties in common, and it is then utterly impossible to point to any one of them. If a thing is not distinguished by anything, I likewise cannot distinguish it, otherwise it would be distinguished.